Cool! Firefox finally got a translation extension, a feature that Google Chrome has only had built in for 13 years. Open source. Decades behind as always. Except no, that's obviously not the takeaway. As tangential as my point may be, this browser extension sparked a realization in me that tech businesses are gonna have to change how they market and sell their products, and that there's a fundamental shift in how computing is happening right now. I know it sounds far-fetched, but just give me a chance and let me explain. After I correct myself about the browser extension. First of all, there have been translation abilities in Firefox for ages now as well, just like Chrome. It's just that Chrome and Firefox both used to use Google Chrome to do that. There were other plugins that could do other translation things, but generally you use Google Translate for translating things. But this is different. All of the translations on the new translation extension happen on your device. Obviously, offline translation hasn't been super difficult for quite a while, and it's been available even in the Google Translate Android app for a long time. It's just that by integrating it in such a seamless way to the user experience, and such a similar way to how Google Translate is done, Mozilla is taking a step to bring one process that used to be kind of privacy invading, as you used to have to send your web page to a translation service for it to be returned, to something that's open source and respects your privacy more. There's actually only 3 buttons that the extension has, and they're all data privacy related, and you can turn everything off. And now I can segue into the point I'm trying to build. Remember when cloud was the big internet buzzword? And how the idea was, well, your phone is super weak, so rather than having it run down its battery and take forever, we can get some faraway computer to do the work and just send it back to the phone. That's how lots of stuff used to work. The Google Assistant, Siri, translation, dictation, object recognition, basically just a bunch of fancy AI magic things that your phone surely has no chance of doing on its own. It's just that, well, people have been predicting Moore's Law's end for the past 2 decades, and yet it's just kept on going. And now, the access to compute that each individual has is immense. Things that were once considered unthinkable to do in real time at all, let alone on a home computer, and especially not something portable, are now kind of commonplace. Take real-time ray tracing, for example. And so, hopefully you can kind of see where my argument's coming from. I think cloud stuff is now beginning to fall into that category. For the past quite a while, Siri has worked offline, dictation has been offline, I'm pretty sure the Google Assistant does some things offline. And although potentially still useful as a backup, cloud storage doesn't serve its original purpose really for many people anymore, of freeing up space on your phone, since now a lot of phones ship 128 gigs at a minimum. Your computer and your phone are now capable of being more sovereign than ever before. More sovereign than in the 2010s. Good luck trying to run GPT-4 on your fancy Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, but you get what I mean. There are more examples too, and yes, I'm changing the lighting color to mess with you. I know it's breaking continuity. Such as Android's live captions, or the similarly titled app for Linux desktops. Instead of having to rely on the service that you're watching media from, or if you're just watching local videos without audio to have subtitles, you can just get the computer to transcribe them pretty decently without any internet access, because your phone and your computer's CPUs are so fast that that's just reasonable now. Stable Diffusion being open source means that anyone with a computer, even if, yes, the older ones will be very slow, has access to AI image generation. And although you definitely shouldn't look at it, I hear that Meta's natural language model, which, if you're unaware of the meaning of that, basically think Meta's ChatGPT. Their model has leaked online, meaning even ChatGPT level stuff could be done locally, even though you are officially not allowed to. Obviously, for as long as innovation continues to happen, everyone will whinge about how their old computer feels so slow now compared to the newest, shiniest silicon. But computers are so fast now, and it seems really silly and frankly inefficient having to wait for the network getting other devices to do computation for you when you've got access to such powerful stuff. All of that sounds good because it is for you, but it has a problem for tech companies. how do we collect analytics and track people, and how do we justify that to them when literally everything is happening on their device? All they'd basically be doing is spying into your hardware, as opposed to at the very least being able to say, well, at least it's running on our servers. And further, with AI and just generally hugely compute-intensive services being more and more feasible to run directly on your device, how will companies manage to wall people into their implementations when a small group of developers could make their own open source one with no strings attached and just say, yeah, we don't have infrastructure, but you don't need it? How then could a company justify you paying for an ongoing subscription to their services when they're not really providing any ongoing value compared to this thing that you could just download once and run forever? However, those problems end up being fixed, realistically, with horrendous DRM, if things like HTTP are anything to go by. I kinda like this direction for the internet, going back to it being for entertainment and information exchange, rather than being absolutely vital to the base functionality of your devices. Let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with the points I've made, and do you think I've missed anything? I do think that for as long as computing exists, there's gonna be someone far away with a better computer than you who's gonna be willing to rent you time on their computer so you can do something faster than you could do on your own. It's just that I'd like to see the prevalence of that go down. One place that's changed a lot in my life is I'm now 1 year into using none of the big tech assistants and just using a self-hosted one. Blueberry, make the door light hot pink. From the wake word detection to the speech to the text-to-speech that it's doing right now and communicating to the light, it did talk over the local network to make my lights do things, but none of that required internet access. And I know this hasn't been a normal video, I haven't been looking at any one thing in particular, but these were just thoughts that I wanted to talk about, and so hopefully you enjoyed it regardless. If you want to talk about technology, I've got a Discord server in the description. Eventually, hopefully I can add a Matrix thing. Subscribe if you would like to, and goodbye.